Hello, today is the 22nd of December of the year 2022. On the last week of the month, I talk of what is outside. So, on the third week of the month, I talk about what is around, what is your cover, what composes you and holds you together as a construct, um, binds you, that which binds you. So, um, because this month still has, sometimes I keep talking about it on the next month as a fusion or sequence. So, there are a few days that I talk about both, and there are like 5 days where I can fusion between these 2 weeks that normally would be at the end and the beginning. And randomly, I do this because I just wrote a word for each week and 4 weeks. And thought the importance of understanding sequence and fusion. Yeah, because most of the people from every gender, color, class, rank, culture, mix wherever, race, whatever, mixed, whatever you want to be, man. Really, everyone needs to understand what is sequence, fusion, and how you produce stories that come from multi-parallel storylines in the world of internet, from virtual reality, in fantasy world, and reality. So it is very easy to seduce people with cheap philosophy. Anyone would look as if he's very wise. Or if you study psychology and all the things of the mind or behaviors, it doesn't mean that a person would know more than you do, or because it has more money, or because it grew up with more people around that is nourishing. It will have more to provide as the only source. So we must understand there is a fusion among us that is a constant sequence, even though we carry our body and our limits. So as to say yes, no, and how responsible can we become for our environment as well? Environment we share constantly, and we have a set of rules. Yet we also have a set of differences. Understanding that hierarchies exist is important, as to say there is an address to address things, there is a name to name places, people, people coming together, create other names, children. They can get to fusion into new tendencies as well and create something together. Oh my God, no, no. So let's say that everyone is doing wars and that is legitimate to kill until someone wins. Yeah, right? So I was digesting the discourse of Putin, how he presents himself, the people next to him, those who look at him, also on the other side, United States. Um, for the first time, I got to see Zelensky out of Ukraine. So I got to feel other parts of him because he's out of his country. So I got to feel, besides the always pride of being a warrior and being supported by so many, in the eyes of the world, what the Western free world is. So you want to be remembered because you are a peacemaker, that you won, and that you won on the cost of how many dead people, yes? Because one thing is the history that Hollywood has written about winning the World War II, embracing England and all this English speaking language. And the other story is the rest of the world getting to see, even though people don't have much authority over their lives, is to do as they wish because of animalistic impulses and circumstances. So, as to say that there go, that you have a chance to make peace, but you continue to kill. So, this discourse, of course, it is very wise, very intelligent, and very important to have common sense of the actual situation of how your people are feeling and what you need to say to your people because they're hurt, because they're wounded. So, um, both sides of the story, you are going to see these parameters, paramount global story that you have with your people. And in the last breath of the story, which is the last paragraph or last sentence, you will see the truth that they want to say, always in a letter, in a storyline that is being sent to you. Sometimes even in a secret diary, because we tend to lie to ourselves and follow the lie because we are made and we are indoctrinated to be nice and to follow. So we have both. We are agreeable, and we do things that we all agree. That's why we are together. So there are some people in Europe and in America who don't want to spend on a continuous war. And you will have many stories coming from many parts of the world who are posting for peace. Then you will see that if you had a 95 percentage talking about your weapons and all your pride and all these things and how much power you have and how heavy powerful you are, and you will do this until the end, until the victory. And not only that, you want to drag the American people, the European people to pay your weapons and keep watching how you kill each other and keep watching all the suffering, not only because we have to support you, but because you earned the story. Yeah. But if you really think about it, you're an actor. I mean, you're an actor. I want to know the person who wrote the story about you. This happens to Zelensky as well as when I see Putin. Um, when I see Putin, he's very structured when he's talking to his people, and the a side of his mind which um, he has an entity inside his mind that dictates him to be uh, s- mm, I wouldn't say this is schizophrenia because everyone has a pattern of belief that is beyond your control. Like black people, whether or not, even mixed people, because their mother was black or whatever, and maybe, for example, maybe Meghan Markle was abused by her father. She doesn't want to say it because she wouldn't look as nice. So she rather put it on the white royalty, the kingdom who welcome her, no matter the differences and difficulties, okay? Life is difficult. You cannot expect everything to be perfect. That's not there is no tomorrow. So the entity within you wants to save that little girl who was raped in a constant. So you are leading with abusers and you will project them as abusers. Because being bananatarian, for example, is something because you were riding on bananas and to strippers like you, so they have a happy day, positive things. So what happens is that bananas look like a phallic thing, and you're all like um, strippers. The strippers, and my sister is a stripper. My sister is of the worst kind of being a little bitch. So was said by Debapath, who's been the favorite therapist of my mother, and he has taught me a lot as well. We organized for him. He's an international therapist from Germany, and he changed his name as Sanyasin of Osho to prevent, as many doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists gave up their career because they want to help prevent sickness with therapy groups and meditation, especially with meditation, because therapy is only a preparation for meditation and you don't need too much therapy. Meditation is good enough. Not yoga. Yoga is like McDonald's to elaborated, exquisite food, to the difference of what is yoga and what is hardcore meditation, to from its deeper score to whatever it is that is. So this is not that you take someone's story and you do whatever you want with it and you trim it down and make it yours because you have all this audience. No, no. Uh, you you don't have a north of where you are going. You're talking about everyone, yeah, and you are abstracted in your own pain, in your own need to get more attention. But trust me, it's never going to end. My father was murdered. So, for example, and it is a true part of my life. My father was murdered. It was not only a person, but a village who didn't want to pay the credit of the town he made, of the village, but a social movement in Venezuela. Not only was a social movement in Venezuela, but he created that as a journalist of politics and a man who is behind so any side of the political spectrum, left, right, or the new. And he who has written discourse to some presidents or members of heads of office. Um, he's never wanted to belong to any political party to keep his freedom of thought. So I could go slash out my anger to revenge, to kill all the people who made my father dead. A beautiful man, vegetarian, winner award of Best South American Movie in New York City for South America, publisher of books. He made his own books. A person who believed in society and humanity. And he hated the imperialists and the gringos, but he admired them at the same time. And he laughed about himself for liking them because he was a very smart person. He could see the beauty and the flaws from everyone, including himself, even though he would never. But that's a very male thing. My father's name is Arturo, with a mustache, and I will never be able to bring him back to life. So you just have to suck it up. Yeah. I took an aeroplane from New York City to Caracas. I I told the police what happened in the crime scene. With there were still splashes of blood in the wall, and the police explained me where. Not the police. The person who called the police. All right. So yes, I do hate antisocial people, and I do hate resented people who cannot pay their credit. They don't work for generations and they pretend to have things for free because of the law of the poor. They have the right to steal, murder, and destroy those who have more because they believe they have taken it from them. That is the law of the poor. And of the thieves, what happens is the different. There are different characteristics there. The thief has a quality to become invisible. Invisible as a nymph of the mountains who support the thieves and murders. They make them invisible. A thief, I, for example, have those qualities. I can go undetected through many places. Be one among. Can be a very good servant, a very good guard, just with my presence, especially as a ghost, someone who is not interfering. And those are skills from meditation as well, or survival, from murder, or to steal, to walk through. Some particles have this phenomenon as well. So we're moving into a dimension where the incels who are have the technocracy, they call it. These tech titans who are incels, they're not virgin now because they were able to have sex once they had money. Um, they're not incels anymore. They're loved, they're popular, but deep inside, they will not value humanity because they were not loved only from their mother. Very good mothers. You have to have the support and love. So maybe they were not no they were not maybe insults, but the girlfriend left them because they were not fun nerds, just dry flat. And so once they get money, they have a wife, and they know very well that if they didn't have the money, they wouldn't have this woman next to them at all. So deep inside is wounding. Later on, they gain charisma later on, and they can become attractive and have these skills because money can embrace you to get all these connections with the outer world. So they develop later. I have been with many men who are like that. Um, I have always said you will have to find true love, and it's very hard for them to let go of their greed and grip with money, because even if they don't want to get married because they don't want to get divorced and they don't want to lose their money, they don't have that all self-esteem of trusting in humanity. So I am going to say it, and it's not a prediction because I'm saying it so it's preventable. We can prevent for these people in power to start thinking of a future and They are not incels anymore, but they can achieve a level of mutual respect toward themselves and what is the future of the world, and understand that artificial intelligence is not the answer. We have people who are as intelligent and need to be supported. So they are only investing in technology and fighting is a monopoly to whom is going to have more. I still don't have any knowledge of the tech titans coming together to talk about laws. It's not just about cookies and the cake of the percentage. I wrote the pattern for virtual reality into with role play and the rules, and that was my formula. I sent it to Bill Gates. I am still here talking, so I get paid. My children are without me, and I need to be with them. I have no interest on insults. I don't have any interest on people. I just want to enjoy my life. And if there is a better world, of course, you know, we're all watching in internet. But when I was dancing also, when I was 17, especially, I would think like nobody cares about the world really. In the late 80s, dancing in Pasha, Ibiza, the go-go with the people, looking at all this Madonna. After my master died in India, there was a beautiful energy that everyone shared, and being away from our society in a world where people work for free, are dancing, hugging, meditating, doing their therapy groups, and just working 6 hours is true heaven. I was in true heaven before as well. My mother always had a home where harmony and beauty and nourishment, and she provide not just a house but a home of celebration, and not only for us but to her friends, business partners, and my father who never paid the rent because society is more important for my father. I am not like my father that I don't have anything because I'm an idealist and a writer. Have work in normal jobs because everything has been stolen, and I have chosen my path because nobody would going to note, just to take note on this. People think that becoming the best is going to be the best, but what if you go undercover and you take note? What if you are going through the darkness and take note of where all these the roots of these problems are coming from? That's how I got the formula for the tissue of storyline, how it works through roleplay. After role playing for 19 years, I have asked for someone to mediate with Bill Gates and nothing. So now we have a problem that is a war and could have been avoided. That was written to Bill Gates as well. So the patent that he called the metaverse. So everyone is involved because there are characters from every country as well. And the problem with making copies of stories is a problem that we have. as a human species. So I wanted to talk about this today. You have to make your own work in your virtual reality. You cannot be hacking my stories and sharing them out there. Is enough. You have to pay my work and you have to start talking about peace, the mediations of peace. So you have multiple stories going on. Yeah. So the devil is wiser, not because he's the devil, but because of being old. I know very well the bidding. I talk, ask for peace, and pretend to be good to follow whatever tendency, but underneath, of course, to be a politician, you have to have a degree of decency and decor, at least in the outside. Mm, even pedophiles have that. For example, Jordan Peterson can talk about the abuse in the earth and the masculine energy with the feminine because the chaos of the natural world. He could have been also raping his daughter. And look, they're very elegant. And he talks about abuse or not, so they just, and it's normalized, right? All these things are normalized. But what happens when people start to see who you are and that information is going undercover? You don't need to say sorry in the public, but we need to see your level of abuse. If you are going to write your fucking story in your fucking virtual reality, and nobody needs to know who you are, but everyone is after their ego, making their selves greater. So, hammering hypnosis is known in from the ninja times of mind manipulation, and how they would use these words to manipulate emperors. How would they trick them to, so the emperors, they would think they were makes, that they had superior knowledge. So no one has superior knowledge here. Once you enter into your heart, you can welcome the love that we are generating. There is no computer engineer or incel tech titan. I'm not sorry, but you're surrounded by bitches who also deserve to love and be loved. And you need to let go of that and accept the original beauty of this true love on earth and get to face each other. So, the King Charles has many names. One of them is Arthur. Prince William also has many names. One of them is Arthur. And we all make our stories in our minds. My father is Arthur. Um, it's a beautiful story. Whatever is true or not, it is it was true as the kings of England, and then it got more fairy tale around it. I don't know until when it came where, with all his niece, he put the swords together, and there is no man that is more than any other in this table. He was king and a warrior as well, of course. So he was known to be a great warrior before being a king. There are many theories, and it's. I had a domain that was a round table maybe 16 years ago. If I wrote it for 18 years. So I've been studying the continents and their problems because there are parts of Africa that are Muslim. There are parts of continents who have fusion between two continents. India, for example, is a country as no other. Even though I ask Pakistani people, well, you eat the same food and dress the same. Like, what's the problem with you? And I wish them peace every time I would buy the newspaper. Said no matter who is who and what is what, to love the they are from Kashmir, which belongs to India. So Russia has many countries who speak the same language. Spanish speak the same language, but it's different with Portuguese. Because the Bulgarians and the Romanians, they say that they don't speak the same language, but they're speaking together all day long in that language. I say, oh, yeah, yeah, you speak different language at work. I'm like, yeah, yeah, which is kind of Russian, right? Bulgarian, Romanian, the Russians being everywhere before the communists, because the communists cannot pull anything together because they don't have heads of states. They have rats of state, and we are all equal, right? We're all equal, yet you cannot play the piano. Your parents don't know how to play the piano. You're not a pianist. You're not equally gifted to play the piano because maybe they had to eat members of the family and burn the piano. Thanks to the socially resented. So you have evolved, you're telling this narrative to your people in Russia. Very good, very good, very good. I'm telling stories that come from all sides. I am using reverse psychology. I we have many parts in ourselves. So I'm playing the dictator consciously. From all my characters, basically, is the one where I have most fun, to be honest. As a real life person, I think it's too much work. Like, um, but I do like that part of the order. I used to joke about my obsession with order, with my dictator, with science fiction. So it was fun. I mean, I would never be a dictator right now. As slow as things go, like, it would be demonic, painful, torture, like being no, no, it's not my thing. Like for right now, I mean, with spaceships would be kind of like, it's funny. It is just funny. I would just take the piece out of it, of destroying a world and just talking about it like, oh, well, we might have to destroy another planet just because it's not your day. And you have to blame it on history or some rebel. So, cheers to all the victories from the Empire. We have to really talk about peace and try to generate a new land that is a form of a dialogue and reconstruction and prosperity. So write that down. And every time is going to be a dialogue, no matter if they are insulting each other in the media, in United Nations, walking off, walking in. Don't think it's easy wanting to create a peace deal because people are stuck in character with their pain. And probably none of their family members have died. So, um, not only Russia has to convert, but also the Western world is converting from all the corruption. So both are co- corruption and pedophiles, all right? From this last dying generation. And our work is not to continue this pathology, yeah, through mediation, not therapy. I'm not asking you if you want to get divorced from someone, what do you do? You make a paper, a legal paper in court saying you're going to leave the home so it doesn't look as abandonment of home. In advance before leaving, there is a time frame to leave. And if possible, you don't tell your partner. Just disappear. No confrontation, no problems. So you didn't do that, so deal with it. You have a conflict, a war. I'm not asking you to get married and sleep with someone whom you feel violated, rape, and you wish to kill as well. Because I do have murderous feeling, but I use it into my creativeness and towards what I'm going to do with these poor people who were gossiping against my father and one just snap out and did it as animals do. No self control, no trigger. Like, where I'm gonna go? Just to run after a rat, to catch it. I was not educated for it, and I didn't need to prove myself that I'm better with a rat. So, thanks to the education that I was, it's not in my program. It is not in my program. Probably I would use the same pain and murderous feeling with elaborated, not just thoughts and stories, but actions for things that matter. in order to transform and generate something that it has a purpose. For example, mansions into villages. That any person working in a supermarket or McDonald's that is married can save money to create in a third world, fourth world, a mansion into a village. For example, so that is my revenge towards the people who murdered my father because he was Spanish when he was the one who created the social movement to support Chavez. Yeah, so they had the hatred towards the colony. And that land that he gave for credit 10 times cheaper in a country where credit doesn't exist without advance. People normally have to pay advance because their houses were demolished by a natural disaster. So he wanted to help and just move them in this land. And nobody knows about credit. So this is where all this is happening. It's people as me who are even better and are capable of constructing, transforming, and creating an economical influence and have better dialogues than I could ever imagine. And they stand up with light when they say to correct, not to correct, but to add in the last part of their sentence with so much love because they grow up studying and working and being nourished by all this protein to shine out for their best, say, financial. So I always knew in the back of my mind that good people exist in this world and they are very nice, like nice to an angelical level. I mean, I have seen this in people, so I can relate to that. That is lost, that sometimes it's up and down, that people feel good because of their money, drugs, sex, all this stimulus that affects them. Is it is not a gift that they have as talent that is formed no matter what you take out. Yes, because let's say I take out the husband or the wife, I take all your material, I take, but you still have that niceness, that angelical. It could be as demonic as well, but it's still divine. Because in the realms of hell, it is forgiven to do such a things if you have to cross over the hells. You have to defend yourself. Yeah, things that are not in other realms. You don't need to do that in other realms. You don't need to kill someone if it's going to attack you to kill you. So, in that form, even the devil can help you. So, it's not that you're a philosopher, you lost your mind for the good of society because you have nothing of your own. It's not that you're a child and you are not mature enough to take care of yourself, as many philosophers do. You are aware and you're still a good person. That is nice. and knows what this world needs most. So it is easier when you are surrounded by people of the category, of course. So if you have people that, of course, you cannot ask Russia to have more interactive. Uh, it's not just intellectual, emotional, and as a free world. I'm not saying to turn gay because that's just one out of thousand, or supposedly should be one out of 100 biologically. I don't know how it is. It's statistics. So Russia has to help the West to convert, and the West has to help Russia to convert. So there is a dialogue. Yeah. And it has multiple dialogues in the West because United States wants to be the leader of the world as well and of NATO, even though it pretends not to, but is influencing Zelensky to keep the war. And anyone in their common sense will stop this war. Yeah. And I'm speaking in first person. So it's very easy to hate. That's why it's so easy to manipulate people with hatred, especially an environment of misery, poverty. Children are like skeletons. People are the man are being left uh, and from killing each other. They have to now construct, construct, working in construction, and learn to speak with each other. They can use all this knowledge into war. Artificial intelligence will make them think better because they can't. The data that we put into artificial intelligence comes from our own. So you could never buy artificial intelligence. You have to invest in people who are already intelligent to help promote intelligence that is human as never before. And that will generate you more money and faster. You don't need to take from the earth to create people who are already alive. I mean, people, artificial intelligence, which is okay to, for example, in the work field, to certain cities where people are mixed. So rich people don't care about the workforce, the problems they have, the many whistleblowers they have to give for each location, for the rubbish that's not being recycled, for the companies who are not recycling and they work in, they keep murdering the forest and killing this earth. And 30% of the natural world is not good enough. You say 40%, 30%. So my father was in his knees in the river of our land that my mother brought, and he 19%. And that was a moment I will never forget. And we were in the middle. it was not such a big river, and it was not a stream. And my mother was in the other side. My mother looks like an angel, blonde and blue eyes, always generous. She mistreated workers, not us really. Um, she was strict, uh, and I thank her for that. Now, my father was in his knees to me, and I was around 6 or 7, or maybe 6, because he put me a name that is the name of a tree, and a Native American of Venezuela is my second name. So he explained me about to protect this earth that is ours. There are 500 acres shared with the poor family. So, and a lawyer who made was a judge. My father and my mother put a lot of money there, and there's 2 rivers on the land in Venezuela. So he said at least to protect, because they're going to destroy everything, to protect these forests and these trees. So as I grew older, as a journalist, he would teach me that we cannot fight for all the causes, even though he checks on everything. And he explained me for each causes and how much he thought the environment is as bad pedophilia can be for humanity in the abuse, because it repeats in different ways and is distorted. It's against your own. You think it's okay, and it's not. It's a constant lie. So you think you can have multiple lives. All these are demonic ways of being. All this neglect and abuse is related. So he said, as bad thing that could be, which is the worst thing, because children don't have a voice, children don't have the power, knowledge. These are like the people in Ukraine right now. They do not have the power to have peace. So he said the environment is on the highest priority from everything. In my boarding school in England, which I went on my teenagers year, I was also introduced to, we didn't have history. It was a hippie rich school, not like rich like the school I went from the King of Spain in Madrid, and the princesses went there, which I'm very proud of the King of Spain, really, and his family, the goods and bads. Very proud. It had problems, but it had a new age vision where we are only taught the last 60 years of history and the problems that we have to face politically, socially, to help this world and around us. So we touch with we studied the problems with the environment, recycling, the rivers, the waters, and deforestation, all these things. We studied also the Muslim politics and their belief, fanatical belief that one would be the leader of the world. And on those times, those who existed that were a rival also among each other to be the So they also have that messiah delirium that Jordan Peterson has as well. Some people are more camouflage. My father had that as well in another way. My father would say that God sends many prophets, not just Jesus. He would say Bob Marley was a prophet, Elton John Lennon, Elton John, well, the guy from the Beatles was a prophet. Imagine all the people. So, in fact, the day he died, the night, my soul couldn't have me awake, and I never would go to sleep at 10 in New York City, being on my 20s. And my soul just took over. And next day, I went to Central Park to the bar, Strawberry Fields, and I was always singing Strawberry Fields Forever. Ta-na-na-na-na, so na-na-na, na-na-na-na. No. Strawberry fields forever. That's made next to the place where he was murdered. I didn't know my father was murdered, but I was dreamy about, oh, my father would love to be here right now with me. I was tried to lay in the grass. It was, I guess, October, the fall, early. I don't remember exactly. So, to invest money in killing and destroying is going to end. We're going to have algorithms where people can put information because they don't want to be fired from work. So they can talk about the algorithm and people don't take it personal on staff who is supposed to be your teamwork because they're technical problems. No matter if you're a good worker, the best workers end up being, they call them scapegoats. Normally, these are the best workers. And it gets to a limit where they get tired after so many years. Because you have to be evil, you have to be a narcissist, you have to look as a sheep that you are a follower, yes, and then bully the rest and have your flying monkeys. They are flying monkeys. They are not your work team. Because if you do not pay them money and they do not have that prestige, they would never work with you under those circumstances, having to lie, having to bully, to be in that place and do everything that makes you happy. Yeah? So you attract, everyone has to follow the narcissist way and they will eventually become narcissists. Because the only way to survive next to a narcissist is becoming a narcissist. Because you want to be like the narcissist. Even empathic people have um, illusion that the narcissist is going to save them. So we are all narcissists for me because everyone needs their ego is our form of, and this is what I saw when I was 13 years old in India. I would make postcards to people with drawings and they would open it up and there was another drawing. They would laugh about it, but I was joking about who they think to be because they were like comic drawings of themselves, they will love to be noted that someone has drawn them uh, under the influence of hashish, meditation, free sex, a lot of hugs. They all just love it without really understanding the. Uh, there's nowhere to go. One of the person that I made that drawing killed herself, but nobody understood my drawing. So I couldn't save her. Um, everyone has these feelings. Some people can manage them, and some need to learn. And we need to teach each other and protect each other as well. You cannot give tablets to children so they learn. We need human interaction. You cannot learn everything from a computer. So, in an imaginative way that is from the heart, the dreamy, oh, so nice, yeah. Well, when I wish Putin to talk, maybe he could choose the King Charles to talk about peace. I don't think he would feel that he's in the hierarchy to talk to King Charles after all this war. He would not make it public because he wouldn't like to feel humiliated because he has his campaign against the West and why all this war. So there are different beliefs and dimensions from this person who needs to be contained and not hugged, but like when when a toddler has um, the mind is going too fast because they have been on an incubator when after birth, or the mother has not been there really because they're beautiful and they marry a millionaire, so they're just shopping and they don't care about the children really. So they have this lack of affection from the mother, and nannies, average nannies, like average, is they're not the. So there is a therapy that my I was taught, of course. So you grab them in a towel, and after I would do that after the swimming classes, and ask my assistant, as a nanny, governess, my assistant to hold him as well and love him. I will ask her to do it as if it was his son that is in Philippines because he has the same age. I said, do it as well because you also needed to do it for yourself as a mother. And I would say the love you're giving this child, it will go to your child as well, at least in your mind. And I will also do it, but I didn't want him to feel that I was possessing him. But they need that to feel that they are. It's not a hug. It's they are feeling because they're all over the place. The mind is running here. They always fall down because the mind is there. Explain the parents. The As he grows up, he could have this, and that unless we prevent. He could be a genius, or he could have this, but because of the family and social environment, which also affects with the teachers. Teachers are traumatic to have, and they pass these notes year after year, and they read them, and they belong to systems, a school where they all share the same gossips about kids, and they're little dictators, frustrated dictators, little dictators, teachers, as good they can be. So they take it on a few kids with their complex of superiority, as schools are. Not every teacher has the potential to lead a class with authority and at the same time have times of being playful and respectful. So it is common to see the need of control later to some extent. So in the reality of the events, you can have 100% of the story, and you're going to take the best part of the story and say, okay, they are investing in all these weapons and they're going to fight until the end. They say, but they want peace because they don't wish this to happen to anyone as well, right? Because it is like if it's our fault that Ukraine is in a war. So we have to invest so they keep fighting. With this is a ridiculous theory that is. There are many ways of having power. This is one through war. Abuse, domination, mixed messages. Because all your allies will hide what you did, right? And you will keep abusing. Mm. Cheers for that generation who is dying and is so perfectly unseen. Now you can let that die from your own system as well if you want to. We have to do what everybody wants, so we keep in a position of power. We have to listen to our people as well, because they can take us out of power. So when I win my case, I already won a case court. Um, it's not that I am a criminal. Well, I do have understanding with the law. Um, for some reason, it's been delayed, but I will disconnect from everything and go for my life. I don't want to look at the problems of this world. Um, just really don't wish to give my energy to anyone that is in an autodestructive mode, no matter how good they can look and help from good people. So I wanted to show my lungi, and I don't know how you. This is a piece of material that costs $1 and from India. It's not particularly the one I like, but the one they had. When I was in India, I said I can be very happy with just this and a backpack with another wear. Because this one I can use also to sleep, and I can put this while the other one is washing. To not think too much about clothing and all this. Yeah, of course, uh, was very fashion as well. Uh, enjoy dressing and creating different characters to enjoy life and its creation. In certain places, you have the luxury to dress well, and others it's odd. So you kind of part of the environment, want it or not, or create something a little more like this so the Muslims can respect you when you go shopping and you want to be treated because they take care of all the Muslims first, right? For example, here in London, the white people don't understand this because they don't live with the Muslims. Yeah. So this is to inspire fear and respect. I have studied all the districts of London when I work here for the first 2 years, three. And I wanted to be in a place where there are immigrants. And I was already prepared from Canada, but I wanted to work. I didn't want to work for drug addicts with meth who later end up dead with heroin. Um, with the government helping them to get them out of the streets, whatever. There's an epidemic in the west of Canada and United States of America. I said I used to say I rather help immigrants, 20 immigrants than one of you, because 20 immigrants are more worth it than you. There are 20 people who want to evolve, study, learn, and are very grateful to be in a better world. And you should be sent to a fourth developing country to appreciate where you were born because you are being a black hole to society and you are sucking the energy of society and you are not beautiful to society as well, even though society keeps having charity on you here in Canada. So that's how I would talk to my boyfriend and all his friends. And because they were high, they would understand it without getting personal. And they so that's cool. Like that is cool that you can do that because we are like incapable. We are too high to care. Um, they would agree, but because these are people who have a good society, they're not criminals. The Canada that I left, now I hear stories that they attack people in Vancouver City, not in Vancouver Island. Would never do crime or attack people or steal from anyone because they have such a beautiful society and such a beautiful environment and support the so I'm a better person than anyone. I could be worse, but because I can understand darkness as part of myself, it's not that I can deal with it. I can discern what is more important right now and who has the power to deal with it. Because one is a little piece of the puzzle for to form the equation that we need for this solution. You cannot pretend to make defenses to protect from other tech titans, to keep this monopoly, when you got to agree also with China and other countries and TikTok. Forget the government. Government wants to be the most powerful in the world. I mean, United States, any president that goes left or right, hmm, because they have even Donald Trump walking next to the Queen. Like, then they want the support, of course, from the world and the people who put them there. But you have to be a Donald Trump. You have to have the mind of a thief, a person that is always in a show. You have to nowadays, not when Lincoln was alive, to be surrounded by thinkers and have time to digest how to deal with these problems. Those are the stories that keep rolling. Pedophiles can have more power, and they can all share the same girls and boys secretly. They will learn to not feel, to be only in the mind, to be controlling, to split their personality too. So there are different types of abuse in virtual reality with stories. It's a lot of fun because you're laughing because you know it's fiction. Some people take it very personal, of course, but there are different types of abuse. There are abuse where the girl or boy, they all feel, why me? Why you're hurting me? You can see that in the eyes. Megan has those eyes of a victim that has that. And she's been loved by her daddy, so she also have that to satisfy daddy, but at the same time, why me? And there is that also unconditional love, that even if I don't like what you're doing to me, I can understand you and love you. And at the same time, is creating, eventually, is going to become an abuser to defend himself to not be abused. And it will project as well. So if 80% are born from abuse, with abuse, one form or another, I was an abuse. Like, yeah, you can have an incident that lasts 1 minute with a private driver of my mother, a little dick there, and a horror story. Because even 1 minute can turn into. Or you can have these stories where a member of your family want to do something and you just push them because you have that authority. You know that you don't want it and you can do it because you know nobody told you, no school told you. You are in your own right. I don't want you to touch my ass. But your little sister would be complying. And you know that. You know that. So there are kids who are complying and some are not. So they're different in through the realm of darkness. and abuse, neglect. So my mother was in an orphanage with nuns since the age 2. She had the love of her family coming to visit her. She knew she had a family who loved her. It was the times of depression and after the war in Europe, and many were coming as immigrants to Argentina. Um, there were problems of war, stories of war after war, of greatest miseries. So you have to think about the mothers who are suffering, the children of war, not just the ones who have died, but the ones who are carrying this right now. So that is the tissue of reality, not just talking on YouTube. So if I was paid from these other abusers, sirs who steal your work when you send it to them, yeah, because they steal your content, not just your content from Facebook or whatever platform you are, because you are a user of their platform. So they have the right to take all your information, pictures, and they are a tech titan. So the government has not stopped them because they don't know about technology. So they create other tricks to fool people because they're going to press accept, because then they create another box where it's more complicated, so they don't read your information. And the only person who has common sense is the man from Apple, Tim Cook, where you can at least in your phone not allow anyone to take your information, things like that. And eventually we all have to move to this, because what is the need? Like, really, put your energy where it matters most right now, please. Pay the people that have worked for this. They don't want to understand it. They all have this power there, and they want to use you, abuse you, and you're nothing. And there you are, your children in an orphanage, a foster family. Next 2 generations, you have lost everything thanks of all these conflicts and wars. And the same story. There you go. Rich, super rich, poor, super rich, poor. There's no laws. There are no laws because there you go. It's the law of the shark. If you don't have to protect yourself, you're fucked. So you can go back to nature, just enjoy yourself with meditation, the people you love. Consider yourself to be with people like you if they are in this planet. So we have to understand that we're sharing this planet. Yes, the people are not going to recycle, and there is a law from the government and a system that works. Yes, the people can report locally. Yes, that it can be updated. Absolutely. So, in my studies with the discourse of Putin, in his last breath, in his last paragraph, because he entered it, he did the thing. He, first of all, he's talking to an audience that is the military defense. So he is talking to them because they are the ones who have to deal with this war. And he has to bring the reasons of war and why we should keep fighting. So this is going on different layers where we are operating, and the narrative is being, it can only change when it's in the air. Many people in virtual reality for fantasy stories, they want to make stories in the private. And I was taught as well that only in the air is where they can become real, not in the private. I can be talking here for hours, days, a year, 2 years. Nothing will happen. We'll get just worst. Yeah. In the hands. So what happens when people don't have the authority? Because they don't have intelligent people around that know how to talk with each other, use information to have better solutions. They can distinguish an ass from a pussy, a woman from a child. You don't need you don't need to do such things to have honor and pleasure. But people need to reconstruct the relationship between their DNA that is being destroyed and corrupted. So you do not have to make love with people or marry them. Just use the good part of the sentence from all the problem and start to elaborate every time a little more from what the other said that was positive and name them by name. So you will see the level of complaint and treating the other one as a terrorist, because Putin says the neo Nazis are terrorists and the Ukrainians say the Russians are terrorists. So there is honesty as well, for because no one is perfect in the battlefield. Zelensky is not going there to fight and go crazy. Anyone that goes there can go crazy and lose it. Anyone could lose it after killing so many people, doing it right or wrong. So it could be coveted, it could be a lie, but at least use that part of the story until it becomes a reality. Yes, little by little. It's not going to take one day. It's going to take not straight path. It's not going to be straight path where you're gonna be yeah. No, it's gonna go in a zigzag, yeah, and with many people from around the world also reporting their own. So there are characters who are important pieces and roles, and you cannot avoid that fact. An historical, futuristic present. Where do you want to move? Yes. So uh, I think Putin would feel offended if he has to talk to the Prime Minister of England, of United Kingdom, because he's very young and Putin has been in power for many decades. And Rishi Sunak is very talented with finance. Those who work in the Bank of England can talk with the Bank of Russia. Yeah, Putin needs a person to talk with, and maybe the King Charles is too much for him to feel honored, is to talk with him. And I don't know if the King Charles will want to uh, sacrifice his image by talking with someone who might put him in a position of being as an enemy. Because if he doesn't follow through, the person who has talked with can have a bad repercussion. And this is not a talk to honor someone who has made a war, but we can, at least in our intimacy, understand that this person is helping us also to convert, not in the right way, and this person is asking to be listened. Putin is asking to be listened. Yeah, as that child that you have to grab in a towel and content. Yeah. So that worked very well with the child, and he felt hacked but strongly with the towel grabbed. Yeah. So I cannot give a discourse for anyone because it can only work when you create it yourself, because there is no one who knows better. So I can give a few technical tips because I am not in that terrain. So I'm just laying in my bed, see what's going online, what reporters are saying. I have taken notes from the channels, who is all the channels, not all. I wish I had write all the channels, make a mark box for those who are supporting peace, those who are support, for example, the new president of Brazil supports Russia, but for peace. The president of Venezuela tweeted the Virgin of Peace from a big statue in Venezuela. So if United States of America feels that they're going to lose because there is a peace deal and the Ukrainian people are think that they're not going to make any negotiation for the land that is being taken, which used to belong to Russia. Yes, let's remember that you were not paying the gas and the petrol to Russia, and the economy was really bad before in Ukraine. Yes, so you're not that of a hero. You don't know how to deal with a country that is worse than when you came in office. That goes to Zelensky. In the outside, in the illusory world, you have an Oscar, you are a hero, you are loved by all these people in Europe, Canada, and politicians. They're not just people, they are people of power, very acclaimed. So you are not seeing the death, the misery, the aggression, and the defense with the same aggression. So at the same time as to bring a solution to an end. The solution to an end is to share this land that is being taken. Yeah. Stop the fire and start to make dialogues. So you're going to recover this land, but it's going to be shared, for example. And for example, can be 1,000,000 and 1,000 ways of being creative. Because you lack power of imagination and you've never been a scriptwriter or a composer, now it is time for you to stop being destructive, stop being led by others who have incited you because you couldn't maintain your own state, not just of mind, of land, but of your own authority to create your own story. You want to fight till death and bring death to all these people with all the gunpowder of NATO until the end. So all those who want peace won't be listened. And you are borrowing money that you have to pay. You have to pay all this money from all these guns. You're asking more from United Kingdom? All this money can go to construction with the Bank of Russia. And there is going to be a lot of storyline where you make your own notes and try to dissect the parts that you like that are not going to be real, but you can use them to make a shared reality that is creative and constructive and new, as there can be 1,000 million new infinite diversities in this planet to create without the need to destroy and kill, murder, rape. And not only that, you have to pay back for all that. So Russia can be respected, you can be respected, Europe can be respected, United States of America can be respected to take care of itself. You have to consider that you have problems to look at because you can lose your presidency. And there are people that need you in your country. No matter how good you are with your Hollywood and your filmmakers, storytellers, and everyone who is listening there to steal from others their story. Because it's free. You earn it. You're superior to take from others and suck from others, right? Because you're smarter. That is the reality. Until today, you look better. You have faith in God and are believers of God, of doing good, of democracy. So democracy now is showing thanks to internet because people can see what's going on and people can share information. And at the same time, the Pandora box is out, so we're learning to use our settings. Those who work with the world are ready to operate with the settings of the world. So you have to deal with the darkness, you have to deal with the difficulties, and you have to promote the best out of your people to have a better outcome, not just an image. So it is in United Kingdom where you have the grace and I would say the magic to deal with this in a most respectful. And this is not a fairy tale of kings and Merlin, of priests, high magician, high priest. Uh, everyone has their own spiritual whatever. But I think it's just the voice as well, not just the bloodline, but and the property, not just the property of the body, but all that surrounds them through history. Is a voice that, as when I used to listen to the Queen for the Christmas in Madrid, and still as an adult, I was thinking, where does this woman come from? She's like in heaven. She thinks we can all, you know, like have this perfect world. And she will make us believe for this beauty that we generate every year with the born of Jesus, Christmas. But we don't have a queen now, we have a man. Prince William has a beautiful voice as well. Um, I don't understand how they work because I am not a royal. I'm not among royals. As a storyteller is one thing. Not that such a good writer. And I don't want my story to roll. I want you to create your own story. And one of the things that I hated in roleplay is that all these characters that play kings and emperors would never go and face to face have a conformal conversation because they had too much vanity and pride and ego. So having to conform countries to become allies is not the story is like you don't have to belong to another country. You don't have to be part of whatever they say, but you have your alliance. You don't have to invest in what they do, but you have an ally, an alliance, an ally. You don't have to go to war if you don't want to, but you're an ally. You're not going to fight them or just stand by like you don't exist. So Putin used in his discourse, consciously or unconsciously, hammering hypnosis. He said between many sentences, we will not repeat. And this was in his last paragraphs. It's his last three paragraphs. So it's in the last part is where they really say, and he was taking notes there because he was like channeling from his spontaneous intelligence what to say, what he really wanted it to transmit beyond his computer data that is talking always from this part because he has this other program which leads him with the wall of Russia to hate for this war and the same narrative of finishing them, us and himself, that there will be nothing. So there is this narrative, and then there is this one at the end. The so the stories are this is the reality today, and we are transcending to move this story with the help of many characters. This is why in roleplay we make many characters, because such characters are incapable of doing such things. So, as to meet, it will need many mediators and characters. You cannot do that alone as well, so we need others as well for the same goal. What I perceive, I could speculate, I could imagine, because you don't know the reality until it happens, right? I think Putin has referred in this last part that he wants that Russia is going to be Russia, and they're going to have their settings, and they're going to have their rights, and they have their resources, and they have their. They're not going to eat each other. So I am going to eat him and convert him. I mean, uh, the Christian world will understand me in a spiritual form, and the computer geeks will understand me in another way. What is to convert? So this is just translation or understanding. To transform. So it is to sublime. So Putin repeated, we will not repeat. We will not. We will not. We will not. We don't need that. We don't need that. We will not. Meaning that he will not militarize the country. He will not militarize our economy because the level of economy does not require that. We don't need that. It's still very disturbed because they're going to invest in more war, and at the same time, it's you cannot understand what he's saying, and the people can't overreact because they know there is a peace deal, but they know they will fight until the end. So the message is there, but it's not understood as such. Yeah. The person next to him is like, I have work, study for this. This we're all going to die. This is horrible. There's no way out. He is upset and he's loyal at the time. They're all together. They all have sad faces. They don't know how to express themselves. They don't know how to have. That is the way the military works, of course. You cannot ask the police department or the military to be argumentative or philosophical or be journalists. They are working in the ground field. They have operations where people are dying, investing on their armed forces and capabilities. So they want to better their communication systems. They can do that in the war field, as in the news, for the peace deal. Communication systems, where there are emotions and the facts of having to respond to the deaths, and how are you going to reconstruct what's being destroyed together. So Ukraine is Ukraine, and the leftover of Ukraine, it is shared. But this is the beginning of a new political aim, which is not Russian. It is not from King Charles. Perhaps it's from William. I think William is very smart, but he is thought to be hidden and to scary himself. So, what can you do with all this uh, propaganda? And I mean, propaganda. It's not propaganda. All this the people love the royal stories. So the journalist that it'd be nice that it would be nice that the political not behind but have a conversation, because one thing is to be a symbol, and another thing is to be a prime minister who doesn't have the respect of a king or the dynasty of Russia. So when Rishi Sunak was speaking, he looks he's given for his job and very positive. He's just doesn't understand the there are things that he said yesterday that he's well supported, not as Boris Johnson had to deal with all this therapy group, people's trauma diverted into nonsense. So everyone was just spitting out. So I think Putin is going to resent that someone like Rishi Sunak, because Rishi Sunak doesn't know how to deal with darkness. And he would like to bring, because in his spirit, he just married a millionaire, and he thinks that I cannot say what people think, but the way he's been talking is when he was asked about women at work, the ages, and he respond is because of their choices. So uh, he has this like he's so immature. Yeah, you had a good choice because you married. So in his mind, as a Hindu, you will be successful with whom you married, right? As in the Christian world and Jewish. Even a prostitute knows that which client to go. It was more convenient, right? So he was asked about work in the work field. I don't think he's in the level to do a peace deal, no matter how much he knows of finance. He can go speak with his rich wife and thank her for the position he is and all the people that has given him the power to be a prime minister, because he's being very positive and reliable. Always, yeah, I will do what you say. Yeah. And that's it. Study. He lacks something that is not a characteristic for a world crisis, in a conflict of war and a financial problem, that is to achieve a higher level for something that is never happened before. You're writing a science fiction story that is going to repercute for the next 2-3 thousand years. So Rishi Sunak can have that credit. as prime minister. That could have be the Bank of England, Prince William, the King, as a symbol of peace. So the parliament is always judging the king that he shouldn't meddle with the affairs because they want to invest in more fuel. Right, look, okay. You just did a Glasgow Convention for the environment, right? So they don't ask. They just go for the money. These little politicians just got on power yesterday. You're talking about, I don't know how old is Putin, how long is he in power, whatever he's a villain or a person that might mean purpose, because villains carry also meaning. So at least get what is possible from it, away from all the trash, right? I'm not saying that Hitler or Lenin had a good purpose. So let's just say, yeah, well, there is a supreme race. Yeah, you know, they could, I don't know, do something more than the others couldn't. Yeah. And Lenin, yes, the people have also the rights. The people are all equal to kill all those who have more money and power. Yeah, yeah. Just to stop this, because we have not come to that level yet. So if you want to promote that, you are going to be considered as this old woman who has killed all these Jewish, and I think she's 84-year old lady, because now you don't see it, because you are surrounded by people who are supporting you for this war to kill others, whatever it is the reason. If it's to defend or you're killing people. Takes two to tango, right? Only children and people who are in these conflicts cannot get out because they are forced to fight. It's the people of Ukraine who are forced to fight, not the people in Russia, not the people around the world, not you. You're just a fucking little president there trying to make jokes that are not funny and asking for more weapons because you're living in a state of paranoia. Could be dead any moment and you don't know why you're still alive or why I'm still alive. Just know your script. This is a story. Yes? And it's not been scripted. Think that democracy, that freedom, but look around, look, there is death and destruction. And this can continue on for how long? Can cost your life. Because if you don't learn this in this lifetime, how are the people going to learn that in their next generations? If it's now, mental illness, problems. It takes a lot to and use that anger into constructing new buildings, constructing a new politic. The same people are going to live in the same land. So it's taken by Russia now, whatever it was from Russia before or not. So understand that Russia needs to learn to have Russia needs to learn to have a communication system, a human interaction, as you do, because you are as Russian as the Russians. Wherever you call yourself Ukraine as a state, that is a country now. You don't know about communication. You don't know how to manage your feelings, to deal and be a leader. You are not a leader to me. You are not a hero. You are a pawn and a clown. You don't deserve an Oscar because you didn't even act on a Hollywood movie. Being aware, Hollywood or any movie, international movie, independent movie, because you're not even self aware of your script you're holding a role. You're being led, and you know that. This is why you threaten the people of America to keep supporting you in this war, because you don't wish them, that you wish them peace. Yeah? Because you're fighting for them, right? Do you think you're fighting for people's freedom? No. You know it also, but you're being led. So, why don't you wish yourself peace and to your people so they can start going to school and stop fighting yourself? That you will fight until then? In the air, you do not have the role to make a peace deal because you are stuck. You do not have the craft. You're emotionally innocent to all this, and you find yourself to be important. So you need time to elaborate your self identity. Where do you want to be, alive or dead, and your people, and how are you going to speak to your people and accept that your people are suffering as you do, as many of us who are watching are. I have my own problems to suffer about. My father was murdered, and I will suffer that forever. None of your family members have been murdered. All this darkness can transform into other monsters, like having your sister as a strip dancer, is a form of revenge. Look at me and don't touch me is a fuck off. There are so many patterns and ways to see how these pathologies are formed from the same sense of abuse that can just simply be a war. The wars create a lot of schizophrenia in next generation until fourth generation. My auntie, sister of big sister of my father, had schizophrenia because of the war, civil war in Spain. It was a created reality that it was real. The civil guards wanted to assassinate my grandfather. So that fear kept living on her mind, and that threat of that created all this. So if you learn how to interact with your storytelling and look within yourself and your people, your line, the state, and trust me, you can be with a beautiful prostitute and believe that she loves you and you are her hero. You are going to show the world what is democracy and freedom. And you are going to rescue everyone. Oh, cheers for that. How much do I have to pay for that? Is that true love? Or is that a love giving for a reason that is not maybe what you really need? Freedom is becoming responsible of yourself. Otherwise, you could never have the freedom. To some, it takes many generations to achieve those values that are passed from generation to generation, families and families, even though having discord within families to protect from that. From Sadhu in India, who is just with the lungi, is responsible for its own ultimate freedom, but is responsible that is not eating as much because he has created. He's responsible, yeah, for his own ultimate freedom. That's called moksha. Democracy has problems and is evolving slowly. Communism's ideals have never existed as they have been written, as many fairy tales I have written and science fiction stories and metaphysical stories. They are not true. So they don't exist. What it exists is the mother, your father, everything we have learned and created. In the cyberspace of internet, they share a lot of destruction and creation. There is a lot of hacking. There is a lot of thievery, and that is normal because this is what you get now. There are no laws. There is not a system because the majority of these people are the ones who are dominating, and of course, they are the seeds of the past. It's just in cybernetics. So we're coming to understand and come to conclusions. Not me, them. The abuse is continuing online, and it's normal to destroy, to create, to destroy, to create, to destroy, to create when it's no need to as well. I could still, we could, but we're forming and learning to create something that is from an unknown and is natural, and it will always happen to have all these mistakes. To note, we can still do it again. What is the need to do it again? More or less, it's been the same. We still could have more without all this destruction in the cybernetic world as well as the financial. So, well, breaking the mold because not working. So, we're learning to see what works and what not, and we have to thank as well that which is not working. That's treacherous potential to absorb for your way of handling these affairs and values, to the destiny of the beauty that comes around you and you can do, and the capabilities that you have as humans to not to stop their death. They have an emotional field, doesn't need to be cut or amputated or killed. So Russia wants to make believe their people that he has a few people in this world and they are not his neighbors that are with him. So the narrative slowly, surely has to come to ends where not everyone is the same, and there are also inner national wars in other countries where they share different beliefs, even within the same parties. You also have a lot to a dictator wouldn't say change, but would say to invest in his media, whether you like it or not, to to deal with conversations that are not as you say, because everything is because of what you say, and such is and such, and you will be with me, and so on. You all understand what I'm talking about, and I am sure I have written. They are this tyrant character that I have, and some are metaphysical, some are characters from military, or they all have a dominant way of speaking where they are always making sure, and the verb is always on a command, and this is going to happen, and it's displaying and it's giving the impulse, talk with a lot of authority and dignity, but at the same time, if you are working in a difficult situation where people want to invest with you in a long term, but they're not investing on you because they don't want problems, they don't want war. and they're sorry for what you're going through, and they understand why you're doing this because they share the same beliefs against the abuse of United States and all those in United Nations who think to own the world and the narrative. God is good for them, but it's not good. For example, the Spanish world, they have trashed the Spanish for centuries. Yeah, and yeah, I am not going to talk about the past, which has been yesterday, just yesterday, and every day, still in my work. So there is a conversion with the thieves and the pirates of the white world, and a conversion from the incel tech titans, which are the same in other ways. This is the same pattern of man in power. Yes, it is the same pattern of 2, 3,000 years. Who knows? So, if you're a writer who has composed many characters, not just study history from the distance, or psychiatry, or psychology, or science from a distance, like if it's a laboratory, but put yourself into it and get into that form of intelligence of being and feel it in first person or as a ghost to walk through and get to have a feeling of it. Love it as it is, as its form of life. And then come back to talk about it, which is not just for you and your entity, but that which we're trying to form. And it is a deal. These lands that are being fought for are pushing us to this dialogue. We don't know how is it going to end. We cannot say what's going to happen now because we don't know what land is which. Russia took this land. Ukraine wants the land that's been taken. But Ukraine was part of Russia, but didn't pay their bills. They don't know how to handle their economy in the past as a state, or for whatever reason they are, with whom, and this. So they are as corrupted as the Ukrainians selling the weapons. Okay, so you're making weapons to make. So let's just start to cut the head of the snake and the problem. Yeah, right now. All those who produce weapons. Uh, the devil made you do it. The devil. Maybe I made you do it. So we can elevate ourselves to stop doing such a things because they have been always happening. Maybe I haven't done anything at all. The point is that it doesn't matter who started this. We all carry this devilish information, this pain, this manipulative. We're all part of this story. When a grandmother has to turn the TV and see the news, when the kids are watching this news, they are not in your country, they're watching this news. The people from the same color skin, it affects more. The Arab people should feel more for the Arab people and invest for the Arab people. Think for more hatred in a long term. Underneath there's Not all the Arab people are the same, so we have to just come together and start to have the honor and respect from the highest core, and have a level of decency and trust that others can do this job and perform these acts with their own words, with their own intelligence. What is that they want? How are they going to do it? They have to compose it themselves. They have to think for themselves. They have to talk with their people really. They have to see their real needs and how long it's going to take to construct all this, and when is it going to really start. You cannot construct anything under a war zone. You cannot harness anything. You cannot make love while you are being raped. There is no negotiation there to create anything beautiful, even if you want to. And you have the spirit that, look, I liked you, but I don't like what is going on. This is not the person I liked in you for how you're treating and doing this to me. So it has to stop. Start to regenerate from your own self. And there's the same energy that is to kill another is the same energy to create, if you put it in a good course. Cows, but is with could be with the same anger if it's not polished, if that energy is not aware, conscious, needs practice of self-awareness. Any religion, not don't put your destiny on the hands of priests and spiritual people, because your spirit belongs to you. Yeah, you can feel inspired by anyone. I listen to tarot readers because they in internet to three, because they look to be as people who care about me. But I never do what they say. I never think of what they say to me, because I can feel inspired by a priest. I can take one word or two from this, but it's not that is for me at all. Every little fiber of thought, I watch it without, oh, this yes, this no. Just observe. So I need to solve my work, so it's paid. The work that I did this in the metaverse. I don't want to save the ass of Facebook or Bill Gates, but the tech titans have to talk. Government has to understand, and the tech titans have to teach each other from what society needs and not, what is more relevant right now, and keep that on hold. I know you think to be more important, and you are the king of the universe. Right now, this is what we need. You do whatever you want with your money. No, you do have a responsibility with having so much power. It can be taken out of you as well. That money was given from the government and banks, so it can be given to anyone that can do the walk and talk We can puzzle all this up. There is independence. Each one is independent to have their settings, their values. We still have to see how these continents are can be, I think by the language is very important. I don't think the South Pole is a continent. So Asia, China, India, Australia, they're alone. Australia. I think Australia could be part of Asia as well. It's too alone. Russia has enough by itself of land, and they can talk about how they want to do this. But there is a synergy as well between a percentage South America, Africa, with North America and Europe, and so from continent to continent. Yes, we can all talk later, um, as we are forming this without the need of anyone suffering, and leave the cross, start to acknowledge that we don't need to put the cross on ourselves or on anyone. What Jesus did is good enough. We already understand that. Yeah, he died for our sins. We can see our sins. So for those who are in the same heavenly state on earth, and for those who are ready to walk the purgatory, accepting with awareness their sins, to pay. Because it's not that you're going to go from the pit of hell to heaven. You go to heaven, understanding the heavenly state, from the first state of the purgatory, and walk up with your bare feet. As the red dragon, metaphorically speaking, breaks the chariot, comes out of the water, breaks the chariot. The red dragon, which is a devil, comes, the beast comes out of the waters, breaks the chariot. That's it, it's symbolic. And then you have to walk up the purgatory, no matter who you were or are. You walk the purgatory up and pay every step of the way, every step, with your work, your sentences. You're aware of your toxicity. I am an artist, so I am a lover. I am a creative person. I destroy some colors to create new colors and forms. I use my own darkness to go to the darkest place on this earth in order to have a formula. How can this be solved? And this is what's happening to these innocent people suffering from this. Not that they deserve it. Who deserves a cross? Come here, I'll give you a cross. That's what you want? Joke about it, because there's nothing beautiful to follow unless you pay for it. Yeah? So you're entering into a new territory that you might have never experienced before. It is unknown. And God wants us to trust in the uncertainty. There are many millionaires who want to know the future in order to control and know. And it's good enough to become small and let the life guide you. Let your power, resource, your knowledge guide you. Without your parents, without those who gave you the job to create your own discourse, to transform from that toxicity to medicine, because it's the same medicine, that toxicity. It's just the amount how you're using that, and then you go back again and forth, back and forth. It's not just all like, yeah. And you know that. You've never been in a war like this before, even though you've done many. Now, each one, you believe in all your words. You sat down there alone. You look into words. You look into people that have written all these things in history. But yours is unique as no other. So that you are acting and composing with others to create this layer of simplicity to help each other and see what is required in the world at once. That's it. You will be remembered for that. Yeah. And you left these things behind to make this. Whatever is your land or name. Okay? Of course, you have your name and an address, and you're going to invest in this. Now you bring your flavor, your words, you bring your culture, what it signifies that you want right now. What do you want? Peace. You want freedom and peace until the end. You want a victory because you know you cannot die until there is victory, even yourself. But then this war won't have any victory then. If you had that kind of victory, it will be the same pathetic, worthless war that has existed. The same one. While everyone is copying and taking and making believe from people's intelligence. So we are here to promote human intelligence on my behalf to get paid for my work. I am not interested in your wars and problems. I never wanted to be a therapist. I had to there. I believe in human interaction and role play, and that's a work that I wish to give for others because I just want to be with my children, have my family. I want to love, create, if possible, be with ladies for mansions into villages, and just talk about words every week with creative people, not just ladies, and enjoy food again. Don't worry about what people think about you. If your story is what's going to define you, you know who you are. One of the best storytellers of all times. Father and son. Family is family, but you have a patrimony to take care of, and that is a material world. Who cares about the spiritual world? We can die if it's so spirituality is so important. Yeah, that is the greatest freedom. Then get off your body and go and die. Do you want freedom? Go and die. I take responsibility of this material world. That takes a lot of patrimony. I'm talking about patrimony is condescending towards our material world that is this planet Earth with all its values. on trying to inspire myself and others. So, in every story, you need that form of inspiration that's beyond politics. And with politics, that you deserve this conversation if you believe that you can carry this conversation. Or go to fight there in the streets. Go to fight there and watch the same story over and over. That you have your independence, you're going to have to pay for it. Your people have to pay for it for 100 years or 200 years. Make the count. Yeah? Make the count. Because you are going to pay for it and your people for not having authority over yourself. We have to fight sometimes. Yes. That there are new ways of creating a new understanding. Absolutely. The Putin will say no to world order, but he will say yes to world universal understanding, respecting his Russia and his settings. He will be part of that technological system that is wanting to achieve all these goals. Yeah. But from here to there, my past 8 years, if he's still alive, after this war, or 5 or 3, but at least you have stopped this war. Yeah. This land is in dispute. In a dispute. This land Russia has taken is in a conversation. If you want to, or you put other people to talk for you and compose, we all need the reconstruction and willingness to trust in others. They are artists and creators and healing and to form the industry that is necessarily not only mathematicians who know numbers, from the financial district, but they're going to help you with Twitter, virtual reality, to bring people who want to make their mansions into villages, to believe that we can transmit values that are material and pleasurable and recover our senses. That is too much to us, but it's possible. You can multiply simultaneously, respecting each governor source. This could only happen by the leaders and those in power, those who have more. So I pray for them to meet, pay my work, I have my needs as well. These human rights are not only for Russia, China, they're also in the West. Human rights. Maybe not as in Iran, but they are still problems of the same category. We are all sharing the same problems. The problems you see. So if you are as intelligent as wise, try to help to make this conversation possible and string to it. Because there are many people in Europe who do not want to invest in this war. And even if they are your allies to United States of America, they can say, well, fuck off. Yeah, enough. Better storytellers than you do in Hollywood, right? Otherwise, what is the story? What story are you bringing to the table? What weapons? You're so cool. No wonder you have so many drops in the streets. North America and Canada. South America has its own problems to fix as well. So we need to have this source of control in all the forests automatically in this desertion of how can they report automatically in this map that is global that we can synchronize, and it's lights. Yeah, it's lights that have been taken care of. There is food, there is water, there is all these rights happening in our environment. We share this map and each one its own responsibilities, and we can report in this and share our students 15%, 3%, 30%. That some might want to learn Chinese, that the Chinese dreams to conquer the world, so everyone speaks Chinese. Or the Arabs, they say, well, look, just be creative, all right? Be creative. Don't have so many money and power. It looks ugly. Old, ugly men with bellies. I have done those characters as well, and they're funny. They're funny. I love all my characters. It doesn't mean that I want to be stuck on that type of character. I would love to be a gentleman if I was given the power of being a man. I had to teach man how to be man with my male characters. Of course, I didn't know was a female writer behind, and I don't like women, but I know how I like to be treated. So they compete to get the woman, and of course, I don't want a woman. I want to teach them how to be a gentleman. A woman is not a trophy that you win or use for pleasure, to give birth, for decoration. That you just listen, so you have sex with, things like that. That's why I don't talk with men, because I know they don't care. You care because you can steal ideas from me and not pay me. It's the same. You don't care about me. My children, do you? You only want like this, deep inside. There are many cultures and women who are still on their development. Yes, it is true. There are many women who are still on not all, as black people. There are many generations. But it's not because they're black, because there are many people who have been poor for many lives in Europe as well. And now I have to talk to them. Well, now you don't have to work in the pharmacy like your parents. You can be something better. But they don't want to understand it. They want to fight against immigration. So, well, you don't have to work now in this restaurant. Now it's the people from Ecuador or the what do you think? Or in this, what do you think? These people are studying university in Italy and Spain. They're working in supermarkets. So it's not just studying and education, but providing these jobs and puzzling up the needs for these jobs requirements, which is sometimes even more important than education, is to be able to understand each other for these values: food, water, how to transform these elements, the tools to create these homes, what materials to be used without damaging too much. And if it is slow motion, it's okay. You don't need to make so much money and exploit so many people to open more McDonald's, for example. So disgusting, really. So appreciate and be grateful for the men that are young and you have a life, for the young woman that you have a life, that you can teach them how to talk. However, is your style as a dictator, as a leader, to let them see you talk with other leaders and the difficulties as well. As a head of state, that sometimes you need a miracle, a symbolic miracle of peace, someone that can inspire us as if we are all his children, not just one, to become responsible, to form more work than images of horror. I'm so glad to see Argentina dancing for the World Cup and to hear the sound of the gaitas they play for every Christmas in Venezuela. They always dance this music. It's not like salsa, but it's another dance. They dance through all December, gaitas, to have here the president. I don't like so much the beliefs of the socialist and the resentment towards the colony. I would change it. I would explain him, look, Maduro, President Maduro, Hugo Chavez and my father and these people and how Venezuela was and what it helped. There were good things the colony brought. You're mixed as well. It's been 500 years. We are now in this stage. Let's try to have this celebration to move forward without having to. Nobody's going to colonize you. We are all moving towards 2023. So you don't need to hate other countries to form your own. This has been used overly in the past. It's still happening. So for we will see all those who are countries and TV channels who are supporting peace and the good lines for peace, whatever side it is, on those who are being three dimensional, exposing the good, the bad, and the ugly. At the same time, keeping the question there because reporters will report and whatever is the benefit of their party they follow, right? Is obvious. That's their form of intelligence. They get this information to support this, as any algorithm would. They will never have a good outcome because this information is given under these conditions. Mm? Because you want this solution to support what? The left side, the right side? A stupid person will give you the answer as any algorithm. For what benefit you want this? For me? Overall, you? What is going to work? There's no need to destroy those who have more money and more power or who have their homes. So I don't like to be talking about the same thing over and over or creating characters out of myself. I don't like to be joking to stress out things that I don't even like. I want to sell my work and be with my children. That's it. Goodbye. Find something to do that is better and make it happen. Please, if you have the power, please, please, please.